Hello and welcome to a new episode of Reptil TV. I've already had my intro animal, I think even several times as the intro animal, so I'm repeating myself a bit today. The reason I'm repeating myself is that it is simply such an above-average large animal. This is the Australian black-headed python aspid laps, melanocephalus. As I said, I have shown you a few times already, but this female is truly phenomenally large. So when I hold it in front of me, I am 1.85 meters tall, and it is at least a round meter longer. So it is clearly over 250 meters. Really sensationally large female Australian black-headed python. Unfortunately, it is currently in the process of shedding. It would have been even more amazing if it had just shed, as the colors would have been even more vibrant. But as I said, I find this size impressive on its own. And I don't know how many of you have ever seen such a large Australian black-headed python. You can go ahead and write the first comments like, you can find them on every corner, or I've never seen one this thick before. Just look at the diameter. Well, it is at least as thick as my forearm. Truly a magnificent specimen of black-headed python. We haven't made a ball pythons episode in a long time. Here, check out my balls on the t-shirt, and then maybe there will be an episode once a year. Today is the day for the Ballroom News 2024. What I need to say up front is that we have bred relatively little this year. We have only about 50 clutches in comparison to previous years when there were 4 or 5 times as many. The background is that I was relatively busy this season, so I didn't have much time to take care of the breeding. The second reason is that there are currently relatively many royal pythons, which means we don't have to breed excessive amounts forcefully when there is already almost a surplus. That's why we held back, and sometimes it's not bad at all to take a year to relax a bit and do a little less. But as mentioned, there are about 50 clutches. There were some really beautiful ones among them, and that's why we have the Ballroom News. The most exciting part comes at the very end, of course. You know about the VIP ball from us. I mentioned in one of the recent episodes that there are updates regarding it. That will come at a later time. As you can see, it's right down there. You can't see it. That will be at the very conclusion of our discussion. Let's start with the not so nice things first, but nothing that doesn't already exist in the sequence. Here we have a pairing of a banana head pied with a piebald banana. This is definitely piebald and contains banana, and it is probably even a super banana. It's not an incredible sensation and certainly not a world first, but it's a pretty animal. Piebald always looks beautiful. Here you can see a bit of the banana pattern on the head, just a little of the pattern, and here on the tail a bit. I quite like it, which is why it's one of the highlights for you. Then, of course, we did something with Sunset again and paired her. Sunset is definitely the number one among the recessive traits at the moment. And this pretty little guy came out of it. This is a Sunset Ultramorph, also not a world first. We had bred the Sunset Ultramorph, which I believe was 3 or 4 years ago, so it's not the first, but nonetheless, it's a really great and interesting terrarium animal. Sunset Ultramorph and Ultramel both are recessive, so breeding them is not that easy. In my opinion, it looks absolutely beautiful. The Ultramorph really brings out the colors of the sunset in a fantastic way, and that's why, from a breeding perspective, it is probably our highlight this year, as we ended up having 2 of these Sunset Ultramorphs. Then I am, of course, an old highway and super gravel fan. I believe, in terms of appearance, It's one of the most spectacular animals that comes to mind. I might have even had it as an intro animal at some point. I vaguely remember that, but I almost forgot. The insiders among you will know it or can feel free to post below. So Stefan, you sleep with Ziegler. He was featured as an intro animal 4 or 5 episodes ago. I don't know. I vaguely remember it. We paired Pewter Crawl with Banana Highway. So the banana is definitely involved. I would think it's a super crawl. It could also be super stripe, but yes, super stripe, super gravel probably can't be said in this case. One of the two through the dorsal line, the side flanks. And I actually believe it is the pewter. The cinnamon is also involved as it gives the crawl that darker or almost purple color. So ultimately, coral glow, super gravel or super stripe. Cinnamon is my guess as to what is in this animal. Yes, I really like it. Great colors, and that's why it's one of our highlights this year. Then we have here a pretty little guy. The pairing was lavender with bongo double head. Lavender. Of course, we were hoping for a lavender piebald, but that didn't turn out in this case. A really very pretty and distinctive piebald with that black spot on it has come out. Beautiful animal. Perhaps not spectacular enough to make it into the highlights. That's why he still managed to do it, and I don't know, should I say the poor guy? When he looks over, unfortunately, he is missing his right eye. So, the breeders among you will know that sometimes in breeding you encounter situations like this one. By the way, this also applies to ranching animals. So if someone says, well, that's due to the color morphs. So you know, I was in Africa for years and I saw tens of thousands or probably hundreds of thousands of ranging babies. There are also wild colored babies where sometimes one eye is missing from the animal. And so we have that, of course, with the color morphs as well. So as I said, I wouldn't say that this is common with color morphs. Rather, it is in the completely normal range. The question is, as a breeder, what do you do with such an animal? Do you keep it? Do you feed it for its entire life? Is there someone who says, well, beautiful animal, I also like an animal with one eye? So they offer the animals, of course, noting that it has only one eye, significantly lowering the price, and hope to find someone who also loves a one-eyed king pewter, as he is, as mentioned, a beautiful guy. So with this black spot here, it will probably come from, I assume the bongo might be the reason for the black spot. 2001, yes, a beautiful animal, somewhat different. And that's why I wanted to include him in the highlights 24. Now the film crew asked if this bothers him living or eating. So it doesn't bother the animal at all. It eats perfectly. Since it has been in the world, it hasn't missed a single feeding. A truly healthy animal, so it doesn't care at all and enjoys its life. I would argue that even in the wild, it would be absolutely capable of surviving even with one eye. From that perspective, there are no limitations. It is just a little bit different. And now, as promised, we come to the highlight of season 24. You know the VIP ball that we showed you a year or two ago. And now, big surprise, ta-ta-ta, what do we have here? A little VIP ball. The great thing is that we have one more or even another one. Unfortunately, it is not a breeding from us. One might think, great, the VIP has multiplied. The animal we initially had, we thought it was a female because it almost had no visible penis when popping. By chance, I believe I even mentioned it in an episode. I popped it again and then surprisingly a few smaller penises came out, I would say, than usual. But with sperm included, we realized, oh, oops, that's a male. We tried to pair it this season. However, the season was already relatively advanced and We somehow couldn't find a suitable female for him to pair with. And then a WhatsApp came from Africa saying, "Look, Stefan, here somebody is selling the snake." I believe it was even in French, because the email came from Togo or Benin. In fact, in Africa, another VIP ball has hatched. Of course, I absolutely wanted to have it, so I bought the animal and had it shipped to me. So the whole process until the papers and everything are ready takes a while. Then, 2 months later, a male even arrived here, which is great. So now we have 2 VIP males, and we can finally dive deeper or more intensively into breeding. A beautiful animal that eats like a pig. Not a single feeding has been missed. 2001. This one is beautifully small and plump. Yes, so now we hope that this male pairs well in the next season, and that this male here pairs in the season after next. And then we will see exactly what is genetically behind the VIP. Is it co-dominant? Is it recessive? Or what will come out of it? I'm really curious. We'll keep you updated. Feel free to share your opinions and tips in the comments below, as if it was great, or if one more had occurred in Africa, then there would already be 2. Or rather, Noah had this Kente, or had 2 of these Kente balls. Noah has, however, pretty much disappeared from the scene, breeding nothing at all anymore. So the Kentis never managed to breed. Yes, theoretically, there might even be 4 with this coloration in 2001. What is your opinion on this? What do you think? What genetics are behind it? I'm looking forward to your thoughts. That was the episode of Ball Pipe News 2024. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. As I said, your comments below. I'm curious to see what you think of these things, and also of the others that I have shown you. Say that was all boring, or oh, those were beautiful animals again, or your opinion on the one-eyed one. I'm really curious about that. Otherwise, stay true to me and finally check my balls. 2021.